Welcome back to the Dr. Rob Show. Joining me now to discuss the epidemic proportions of children on the neurodevelopmental spectrum is the director from the Brain Balance Center in Glassboro, New Jersey, and Wayne, Pennsylvania, Dr. David Shapiro. Thank you, David, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
So, there is this epidemic. I talk about it in my book, that clearly there is an epidemic rise. When you look at the numbers, we went from 30 years ago, we had 1 in 10,000 children were diagnosed with autism. We're now at 1 in 88, actually even some believe 1 in 50. We've seen this dramatic increase, and it's out there, it's prevalent, and we know that we see this all the time with children. One of the things about that I talk about in my book is that it really has to do with lifestyle changes. It's really not so much chemicals in the environment, it's really lifestyle changes like diet and exercise. So we know that there's a big difference in lifestyle now versus when we were kids, right?
Absolutely. I talk to parents about it all the time, and we're all kind of about the same age. I have young children myself, and what I talk to them all the time about is, what did you and I do when we were little kids? And we talk about, wiffle ball outside and playing tag, and I learned recently about pine cone wars. Parents from South Jersey all talk about pine cone wars, and I didn't do that.
That's a South Jersey thing, because we didn't do that on Long Island.
Very good. But the whole idea of running around and chasing each other and playing tag,
riding bikes,
getting dirty, skinning your knees.
Yes.
Right, all that.
We were kids, we were outside all day. So why are children not as physically active? And the two things that we can point out is, one is that both parents are working more than when we were growing up, so that they're more with daycare centers or maybe grandma and grandpa who don't want to let them outside. It's harder. But the other thing is that, people are afraid. They're afraid to let their children out because we perceive, true or not, that the world is more dangerous because we see it more.
Right.
And so we often see as technology is becoming the babysitter.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big problem with parents. And one of the things that we talk about in Brain Balance right off the bat is we get them off of that technology.
Very much so. And it's amazing how much time the kids spend on their different screens over the course of a day. Is that the average is 6.5 hours?
Yes, even more than that when you look at all screen times with phones and things like that. So the important thing is, what is, not moving, not exercising, and being addicted to technology, what does that do to the brain during development? And we know that the most important aspect of brain development is movement. So if a child isn't moving, they're literally not growing their brain. And in the womb, in the first 2-3 years of life, it's really the right side of the brain that's growing. And when it doesn't grow, this is ADHD, this is autism, this is these other things.
No question.
So we find that, we work a lot with the primitive reflexes with these children and get them movement, right? You find that the exercises at home are really helpful as well.
Very important. And like you said, the movement is the driver for the brain in the early years. And they still have these primitive reflexes that I learned from you, really all about the baby reflexes, that they still have them at 10 years old and 12 years old. And like you said, there's specific exercises to make those improve and go away, and they help the behavior of the child. It's remarkable.
And if they have those reflexes, I always say it's like keeping the brain in suspended animation. It doesn't really go to the next level or stage of development. And this is why children don't crawl, or they skip crawling, or they crawl in an unusual way, or they walk in a delayed level, or that they have different problems with, sucking reflexes. And so that's an important aspect, and those are really relatively easy. I mean, those are simple exercises we give the parents that they're able to do at home without any problem, right?
Right, no special equipment. It's really just about being consistent with those exercises at home to see those changes, and it's remarkable.
And what's important is that really it's important that the parents also get involved with this, because what we find is that, a lot of the reason why children are more sedentary is because adults are more sedentary. We always say all the time, I say in the book, if you're fat and lazy and depressed and unhealthy, you're not going to have a child that's dynamic and going to be successful and happy. It can't happen. You have to set the example.
No question. So the best thing we can do is have families move together, exercise together.
Right. So that's why we get them to do the exercise, especially when the dad gets involved with doing the exercise with the boys.
Right. Push-ups and sit-ups.
Yeah.
Right.
And just that makes a big difference. When a child gets stronger, it's huge what it does to their brain.
No question. Core muscles.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Dr. Shapiro, again, you were in practice for 19 years and you actually decided to open a Brain Balance Center because you felt it was that important for your community. You have 2 now, and that's great. And those are located in Wayne and also in Glassboro.
Correct.
Here. And you're happy with what's going on with that?
It's wonderful. because you get into practice to help people and see a difference, and we're seeing changes unbelievable, night and day. And I know we're going to talk with one of our parents that's going to just talk about the results, and we're seeing it so consistently, whether it's learning challenges or behavior challenges, this autism spectrum that we're talking about. The changes are fantastic.
Yes.
Without drugs.
And as a matter of fact, you lead in at the other side of the break. We're going to meet the father of a daughter named Addison who had academic challenges and led him to seek help at your center. And we'll hear the story when we come back. And it's a beautiful story of hope and inspiration. So we'll return after the break and we'll hear from Addison. I want to thank Dr. Shapiro for being with us today. And if you want to know more about his center, go to brainbalancecenters.com. Thank you.